The hinges we're going to be using are off-the-shelf parts we get from Home Depot, and we'll begin modeling them by beginning a sketch on the right plane. So we'll select the right plane and start our sketch, and we'll start by sketching a couple circles centered on the origin, which will represent the pivot of the hinge. Next we'll draw a corner rectangle, and we'll make it coincident with the outer. And so this is the basic profile of our hinge now. All we have to do is constrain it. And again, we'll constrain it from inside out, so we'll dimension this inner circle to the outer circle. And that one's about 41 thousandths of an inch, so 0.041. Let's see, and this outer circle has a diameter of 200 thousandths. 0.2. Let's see, and this wing of the hinge is also 41 thousandths thick, so 0.041. And the distance from the outer edge of the wing to the center of the knuckle, which is the circular section here, is 0.675. So here we go. Now all we have left to do is set the distance between the bottom of the wing and the center of the knuckle, and that is 85 thousandths, 0.085. And we have a fully dimensioned sketch. Now we'll just trim this section in here. So we'll click on Trim Entities, and we'll use the power trim over here, which is you click and drag, and it starts deleting portions of the sketch. So that's it for the profile of our hinge. So we will exit sketch, and now we'll go to the Features tab and extrude the base. We're going to do a mid-plane extrusion, which extrudes the sketch on both sides of our sketch. So the full width of our hinge is 1.5 inches, so 1.5, and there we go. Now that we have our extrusion, we'll create another sketch to create the cutouts on the wing section and on the knuckle. And to do that, we'll start by sketching on the top plane. And for the cutouts on the knuckle, we're going to draw a couple of corner rectangles starting from the top left corner, and we'll snap it to the edge of the barrel here, and we'll go from the midpoint of the top line to the edge of the barrel here as well. Now in order to make these cutouts equal, we can add a center line that goes from the bottom of one to the bottom of the other, and from the bottom right edge of this rectangle to the edge of the hinge itself. Now we can add an equal relation, so we'll select all of the horizontal lines, so Control click on each of the lines, and we'll add an equal relation, so make equal, and that divides our barrel into 4 equal sections, which is what we want. Next we'll add some holes on the wings in order to mount them. So we're just going to begin by drawing a couple of circles out here in space, and we're going to use symmetry to locate them. So we're going to draw a center line between each circle, and then another center line from the center of the origin to the center of this line. Now we can add our relations, so we'll click on the vertical center line and make it vertical, and the horizontal one is horizontal, and so now we can smart dimension. So we'll smart dimension the horizontal line to the edge here, which is 1/4 inch, so 0.25, and the distance between each hole, center to center distance, is 1 1/32 of an inch, so 1 space 1 divided by 32. And the actual diameter of the hole is 200 thousandths, so 0.2. And we can add a relation to make these equal, so we'll Control click both of the holes, both of the circles here, and make equal. And that's it for our sketch here, so we'll exit sketch, and under the Features tab we'll create an extruded cut, and we'll change it the direction 1 through all, and direction 2 will go through all as well, so it cuts through the entire model. And here is half of our hinge. Now, in order to make a full hinge, we'll need to create an assembly from this. So we can go to File, Make Assembly from Part, and we'll save and insert. So we'll call this guy a hinge half because it's only half a hinge. And if you already have a part active, it'll automatically insert that part and use the location of the part's origin as the origin of the assembly. Okay, so now that we have our hinge half, we can insert another component. So it adds an existing part. Since we already have this one active, we can drag it in, or we can browse for another part. So let's go ahead and Control click and drag it in. And so we have one hinge half that's fixed in space, and the other one is kind of free floating. So now we have to add some mates in order to constrain this free floating hinge to our static hinge. So we can click the surfaces that correspond with one another. So this edge of the free floating hinge is going to mate up with this edge of the static hinge. So we control click on both surfaces, and we can go to mate, which will mate the hinges. But the relation of this mate isn't how it's going to eventually end up, so we can flip the relation between aligned and anti-aligned. So that flips the relation, that's more like it. And now we can use a concentric mate because the center of the knuckles here align up. So we're using a concentric mate. And here's our hinge. Now, depending on how we want our hinge positioned, we can add another mate and make this surface coincident, which basically means they're on the same plane, parallel, perpendicular, or we can add an angle and put it at any angle we want here. Alright, so that's our hinge assembly.